to remember how to do this.
Exactly. I've never done the intro before, so
I know. 2024, baby. Let's go.
welcome back to the Pop Chart, a podcast discussing everything at the top of our charts this week. I'm your host, Brendan Toda.
And I'm not here with these fellas. I got a pigging competition over at the Livestock Pavilion, and I am going to win that blue ribbon. I have been waiting months to do that one.
Listen, I just appreciate the fact that we're consistently podcasting, even if it isn't necessarily every week.
Yeah.
Because, they say that it is consistency that'll eventually get you an audience. And not that an audience is really necessary for this. I just do appreciate the time capsule element of it. And
Yep.
yeah, I appreciate that we're still going. So happy 2024 to you, Mr. Gutierrez.
Happy New Year, man. How the
Happy
heck are
New Year.
you?
I mean, it's not like I did a whole lot last year, apparently, just life-changing events and raising a kid and like all sorts of things. But I'm starting off 2024 pretty strong, I would say. Boy's doing great, like settling into a schedule, almost 1 year old, if you can believe it. And yeah, how about you?
How's like the
How's
sleep thing going? I know that that's always like a big deal. It's like routine sleep.
Well, I think I've mentioned it before, but in my experience, everything people tell you about raising kids is exactly true. It's just whatever they
Okay.
happen to like focus on, that's what they choose to tell you. So if they're like, you don't get any sleep. Yeah, that's true. Oh, it's really hard to feed them. That's also true.
Also true.
Dealing with diapers is terrible. It can be. It's not always. I mean, it's just everything that you think it is about raising the kids is true, is what I would tell you. So with sleep, luckily for us, our boy's pretty good about his schedule and keeping a routine, but I think it has everything to do with how well we've been able to keep him on that schedule, always feeding him at the same time, always doing the same sort of routine. And luckily his personality kind of goes along with it and whatnot.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. How about you and your family? How's every little thing with you?
Lots going on. We're spread out all over the Southern California area, so we didn't get a chance to see everyone during the holidays, but
Oh, okay.
we did as much as we could.
Hmm.
Rang in the New Year's with Cynthia's family playing some board games and things like that, which
Fun.
was yeah, we played a new board game. Um, boy, can't remember what it was, but it was great. Very much
Memories
like
already starting to
yeah,
go.
dude, that was 5 days ago. And I'm 38 years old, so I got
It's the
nothing.
distance past. Distant
Yeah,
past.
we kind of like you remember Suro of the Seas, the
Of
one where
course.
you're a ship and you're trying not to get attacked by dragons. This is a little bit different,
Right.
but it's more like just straight up maritime warfare, very similar to that, where you're just going after each other as opposed to avoiding dragons. Forget
What
the
a
name of
great
it.
time that is.
Fantastic. It's a really good game.
That's
Um,
cool.
one of the things I wanted to do, there's a couple on Instagram that play like specifically play two-person board games. And I've been wanting to do that more often. Like just Cynthia and I don't play board games at home because all the board games that we play are much just more enjoyable with a larger group, and it's fun to just have that kind of like interpersonal communication. But
Right.
there's just some of these games that I've been looking online that I'm like, that looks like a blast just with the two of us, and like
Hmm.
as opposed to just like after dinner, just like doom scrolling or watching something on TV. It's like, hey, why don't we, more puzzles or Legos or playing two-person board games. So I think that's kind of one of those things I'd like to do a little bit more of, if a resolution, if you will.
Sure. No,
uh
100%. I get it. Like I told my wife that when our son is old enough, we're gonna make it a point to do family board game night every week on the same day,
yeah, that's
so that
cool.
he has some of those memories as well. Because like my family never really did that. They didn't make it a point of like, okay, it's this day, so you know what that means.
Right.
But I think we're gonna start them pretty early, like hopefully 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah,
and then go from there.
good stuff. We're also gearing up for our first trip of the year. We're gonna go back out to Hawaii this time. We're gonna
Hmm.
spend the week on Oahu. We we've done a week in Maui. We did Kauai last year.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or well, 20, yeah, no, last year. No, we did Chicago last year, sorry. The year before. So we did Kauai, and then we spent one day on Oahu doing like a North Shore food tour. But this time we're gonna spend the entire week on Oahu. We're gonna head out to the Aulani Resort this time around. So I
Wait,
think
you gonna actually stay at Aulani?
we are. We're yeah,
Wow.
we got the opportunity to do that. Not just on our own. Our mutual friend Jamie and Liz, they're helping us out getting out there, so we're going to travel with them, which makes that huge heavy load of staying at a Disney resort a little bit more attainable. So that'll be, we're looking forward to Oahu. Everyone says it's the island that has you has the most to do kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
for sure.
Yeah.
And there's nothing funnier than the fact that I'm going to Hawaii a mere few months after you guys.
So close.
So close. And to be like, yeah, they both were just here together, even. They planned it.
Are you guys going to Oahu as well?
I'm honestly not sure. I was about to tell you that yeah, I don't think you sound ever more of like a vacation snob when you like start saying the different islands and the different experiences from memory. You're like, I'm pretty well traveled. I know you've gone to Hawaii. There's different islands, different
we
experiences.
we
This
think
one's more like common folk, and this is like a little
yeah. Oh,
little
I could
papa shop.
listen. I could tell you all the good pros and cons of each of those islands. Only
Exactly.
because we've done those so back to back. Like
Mhm.
we're kind of like after Oahu, I think we'll probably not do Hawaii for a while because we did Maui, we did Kauai, and now we're gonna do Oahu. So I think, we've talked about it. Like after that, we'd like to probably head back to like Europe or do something very different as opposed to it's just difficult because every time we go, it's just like, God, Hawaii is awesome. It's just so great. So it's hard for us to be like, do we want to go Hawaii again this year? It's like, I don't know. Do we want to try and go somewhere else? It's like, nah, let's just go to Hawaii. It's awesome. We have a good
I
time.
I can't imagine why. It's like, wall to wall beach and it's supposed to be
It's
for
awesome.
vacationers. So
It's totally awesome. And it's
yeah.
like really, we there's two types of vacations you can do, right? You can do like the chill, relaxed vacation where it really feels like you're taking a break, or you can
Hmm.
do like the ones where you're like, we've never been to this place in wherever, and it's like we want to learn about everything and the culture and the food and the this, and you're just like
Right.
jamming.
Right.
It's been a long time since we've had like a jammin' vacation. Like
Hmm.
Chicago was great, but it's like a city in America, so it's not too much. It's not overwhelming. But like when we did like Italy and all that stuff, it was like, holy crap. So I
Hmm.
think we'd like to do that again and just be kind of out of our comfort zone because Hawaii
Hmm.
kind of feels comfortable at this point.
Sure.
Um, so maybe in a couple years we'll we'll go back to doing more like international travel would be nice.
Yeah. Then you can go to some place, with that's known for food or whatnot, as opposed to, go to Hawaii where it's like, what is the local cuisine? Oh, it's two burger patties on rice smothered in gravy, is it?
With an egg cracked on
Hmm.
top. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
delicious. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Loco
it should.
Moco, but like it is not. It's like commoner's food, not like refined cuisine. Of like, I'm doing a Loco Moco tasting next
Tour.
week.
So it's so funny you say that. We've been there several times.
Yeah.
Never had that.
You son of
We've
a
no,
bitch.
we've never. It's not that I don't because every time we go,
Sorry,
I'm
I
like,
take that
when
back.
are
I
we
know
gonna?
and I like your mom quite a bit. You
It's
pretender.
it's not like I'm trying to avoid it because I really do, and I think
Uh-huh.
we had like a locomo like somebody did like a locomoco a spin on it, but it wasn't
Uh-huh.
quite just the straight up like locomoco. So I've decided that this trip I must have like your basic ass
Yeah.
locomoco
So you're
on
telling
a
me
paper
you
plate.
you go to New York, you don't get pizza. You go to New Orleans, you don't get
Right?
gumbo.
That's
You're
kind
just
of what it
like,
that's kind
I'm
of what
going to
it is.
Hawaii all the time. I know all the spots, but forget Loco Moco.
Yeah, that's like if we went to Chicago and did not try a deep dish,
Yeah.
it's like, you
Goodness
dummies.
gracious me. My God.
It is what it is, okay? It is what
All
it
right.
is.
All right. All right. Well, um, that's enough catching up, I suppose.
Yeah,
Why
all
don't
right.
why don't we get to the subjects at hand tonight? What are we talking about, Easy?
Hey, so we're gonna talk about Spider-Man.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he himself, Mr. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and his buddy Miles Morales had a game that came out on the PlayStation
Right,
this
right.
past year, a
Mhm.
sequel to the monster hit Sony's Spider-Man. That's what they kind of call it, right? Sony's or
So yeah, I think it's like Marvel's
PlayStation.
Spider-Man.
Mm.
But yeah, like you're right. It's the Sony exclusive title, so
So this
it's
one is Spider-Man
um,
2,
right.
essentially, right? The
Hmm.
follow-up to that game, but also, in
Continuation
theory,
from
a
Spider-Man Miles
continuation of that
Morales.
and the Miles Morales video game, which, in my opinion, I hold in very high regard. Right?
Hmm.
Um, I loved the Arkham games. I think we've talked about them before. As a huge Batman fan, the
Hmm.
Arkham games were like the epitome of just Batman in pop culture in general, right?
For
Because
sure, for sure.
video games are the most immersive medium, right? And I think that's why
Right.
they're so popular. And people like us, especially when you're talking about like cinematic video games,
Hmm.
I love them, and it's hard to it's not hard to understand why video games are a massive, massive business, bigger than the film industry as a whole, bigger than
Hmm.
TV, bigger than basically everything.
Hmm.
Because you can be the character, right? You're not just
Right.
watching them on screen, so it's a totally different thing. So when the Arkham games came out, I was like, well, this is it. This is the best Batman thing ever made.
Hmm.
And I was never a fan like you were, right? We've talked about this many, many times on
Right.
every iteration of what we do here.
Yeah.
Is I grew up like the Batman guy, you were the Spider-Man dude,
Yeah.
and then these games came out and something clicked, right? I was like,
Hmm.
no wonder people love Spider-Man so much, right? And
Hmm.
and these games came out in the heart of um the Tom Holland Spider-Man stuff where Spider-Man's getting super popular again because he's in the MCU and that's exciting.
Right.
But these games took all the best parts of what I loved about Batman and was like, how about you can play in the sun and it's fun and light and not depressing. And
Right.
I fell immediately in love with the Spider-Man game. Then, of course, as a huge fan of Miles Morales, as a character, obviously, the Spider-Verse movies were popular as well. So there's just like hitting all the right things, right?
Hmm.
Miles Morales is totally different Spider-Man in his own right. So then to have this game come out and it's the perfect blending of these two characters and they're two phenomenally good games.
Hmm.
Um, not a whole lot I can say like negative. I have so much fun with these games. I'm not done. Are you finished with the game?
Yes.
Like so I've finished the main storyline. So I
Uh-huh.
I I did things a little different.
Hmm.
I've always just let these games kind of come to me as it's happening, right?
Right.
No mission, no motivation, just if I'm in the middle of a actual storyline mission and that ends,
Hmm.
I'll just go do the next thing that is nearby, right? Save that
Right.
person.
Yeah.
And it's endless. It just never ends.
Hmm.
This time around, I realized that the normal, just like, defending the city against like
Hmm.
the general mayhem is
Yeah.
what I love most.
Okay.
So this time around, I specifically played through the main storyline without doing a single side mission that wasn't required to push the thing forward.
Really?
So I was done with the main game is not that long. This is not
Right.
freaking Red Dead Redemption or something like that.
Hmm.
So I blew through that. Um,
Sure.
knowing full well there was probably side missions that would give me more context and put me in a better position or whatever.
Sure.
Um, but I didn't do that. I was like, no, screw this, because at the end of this, then I have the rest of every side mission to do. And my
Hmm.
favorite part of these games is just being on a rooftop and going beep beep beep. There's an alert. Let's go stop some crime.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's where I'm at now. And I'm still only 70% the way through. Obviously, I can't, I don't play as much as I'd like to, but
Sure.
I think that was like the absolute right move because now I can just
Hmm.
sit, turn the PlayStation on, and as opposed to saying like, okay, I really need to knock this part out so I can continue. It's just like I can do whatever the hell I want,
Hmm.
right? I do whatever I want. I can go over there and handle that thing. I can go over there and handle that thing, or I could just see how good I can be at flipping through the city and how cinematic that is. So
Yeah.
I changed things around this time, and I think for me that was the right choice. I think that was the right way to handle that.
That's really interesting because, like, it's almost as if we're comparing how you eat a burger almost, right? Like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
somebody who is like, I have to eat all the fries first.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of anyone in particular when I say that, but I'm like, somebody has to eat every single French fry first and then can have the burger.
Who does that
But
in your life?
Micah,
Oh,
Micah does
does he?
this. Yeah, I was like,
I don't remember that.
I've gone out to eat with this dude plenty of times in our existence, and that was always the thing. And I'm just like, every single one, huh? Like, not one left over. You can't have them at the same time.
That is exactly what we're talking about.
But that's what you just
That's
described when
100%.
you're just like, I'm saving all of my fries last. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna do the entire burger first. And it's like, huh, that is a way you could have done it. And while it isn't the way that I chose to tackle
Mhm.
the game, that what an interesting way to approach it. Yeah, obviously this picks up where the first game left off. It does incorporate elements of Miles' story as well, but I think you could easily skip it, even though like you don't. I'm not advocating for skipping Miles Morales, but if you didn't
Mhm.
get a chance to play it, you don't have to play that. It adds context, but you
Sure.
can you know that he became a version of Spider-Man at the end of the first game, and that's enough.
Yep.
I definitely first wanted to mention the Sandman fight at the beginning of the game is incredible.
Mhm.
Like perhaps unrivaled in any superhero experience or video game or anything that I've ever done where it just was like you said very cinematic. It was breathtaking, it was
Yeah.
exciting, it was so different from like anything you'd done in the previous two games. And I loved that. Like,
Yeah.
that is for sure the high watermark. I wouldn't say that it drops off, but it tries to get to some of those same heights. And I don't think the
Mhm.
rest of the game does that. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the game is bad. It's just
Mm-mm.
that that first encounter is incredible.
Oh, yeah. They just start
Uh,
off with a bang.
I briefly wanted to touch on the fact that there's Mary Jane missions again.
Mhm.
And while I wasn't a huge fan of that in the first game, I do think that they did a lot to make it more palatable and almost overpowered with how much they give Mary Jane in her arsenal.
That was the discourse for weeks
Yeah,
online about
yeah,
the Mary Jane missions were she's straight up OP. Like
right.
absolutely you're gonna breeze through these moments and maybe
Yeah,
they did that because they're like, you guys complain so much about
I think
these
they
things.
did.
Let's just
Yeah, I
let's
think
just
they
make
did.
these a little bit more fun and just like quick.
Quick
Yeah,
asides.
she's like gnarly in this game.
She is essential to the story as well, so I'm
Yep.
not upset about him. I did even if I didn't care for them in either instance, the first game or the second game, I've never hated them. I never felt that they
No.
were a waste of time, but it was just kind of like when being Spider-Man is so fun,
Yes.
it's just kind of like I want to ride the roller coaster again, mommy, please.
It really humbles you because you're so used to just like all the things and the gadgets and the gizmos and
Yeah.
and the skills, and you're like, oh man, this is what regular games are with regular people on the ground. This sucks.
Exactly. But yeah, aside from that, I would say that it comes close to matching the first game for me. I think I probably enjoyed the first game a little bit more than this
Yeah.
one, but that doesn't mean that they did anything wrong. It's just like sometimes the first time you experience something that's never been done before is just different than the second time. It's not even like a sophomore slump. But you made the comparison to the Batman games. And what I recall from the Arkham series, those three games, and I know there's four, I just never played Origins because
Never. Same here.
didn't have time. Um, I remember in each game there was something tangibly different where you were just like, okay, so first it was like this, now it's much bigger.
Yep.
Now it's twice as big, and I get the Batmobile.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yep.
I don't feel like this one differentiates itself from the first one as much. The web wings are cool,
Yep.
for
That's the
sure,
big thing.
but it's not big enough for me. Yes, the map is
Okay.
bigger, that just it doesn't feel so since many of the sites are the same, whereas like again comparatively to Arkham, where yes you're still in Gotham City but like you're only in Arkham in the first game, and then you see some of Gotham City, and then you see even more but you're not revisiting necessarily the same places,
Mhm.
whereas this game you are going to swing through the same neighborhoods you have for two
Sure.
games now. You are going to the mechanics of web slinging, though the animations change, it feels pretty similar. Now, again, web wings are great, but it's kind of like, again, when you already have something great and almost perfect, like even a little bit of an addition, it's marginally better. It honestly kind of feels like the difference between iPhones these days, where it's just like if you were to compare
Nominal.
it, yeah, if you were to compare it to I've never had an iPhone before and here's the iPhone 15, holy crap,
Wow. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
insane. But when you've had one every other year for like 10, 14, years, whatever it's been, it starts to start feeling a little bit samey. And I unfortunately kind of felt that with Spider-Man 2. I
Yeah,
love.
I don't disagree.
Hmm.
I think the web wings initially at first, I don't know why. I think like the first time I whipped them out,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is Arkham City,
Hmm.
right? Where it's like it's a good way to get around because
Right.
this is the best way to get around.
Right.
But it made sense like at the time, like for me and Batman, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. He's got a cape and he's a bat
Hmm.
and wings.
Hmm.
Um, I think the first time I utilized the thing, I was like, oh, like no, he can't be just flying around. He's freaking Spider-Man.
Right.
But then I realized I completely forget Far From Home, I think,
Hmm.
is when we see the MCU Spider-Man with the web wings and he kind
Right.
of uses them. And I was like, oh, wait, I guess we have seen them. And as someone who's not a huge Spider-Man aficionado,
Hmm.
I don't know how many of these guys utilize that, but I know some
Right.
characters that's one of the main features of their costume. So I was like, oh
Yeah.
wait, no, this makes sense. And you're not really like I felt like Batman you could never you could go around all of Gotham never touching the ground.
Right.
I think we even interviewed some Rocksteady guys
Hmm.
and I had said like you could just fly around the city all day long and never touch the ground. He goes, "Yeah, but you have to because that's where all the bad shit is happening."
Right.
Um they introduced like the wind tunnels through the city and stuff that
Hmm.
you would never be able to make it all the way across the Hudson River without that kind of stuff. But
Right.
um, you just jump from the Avengers Tower and you could fly around that city for minutes before
Right.
having to actually go back to the ground. So they grew on me. I really like using them, but you're really using them just to get from point A to point B.
Right.
They do introduce missions, some side missions that require you to do the web wings, which is pretty nice. It's not
Hmm.
just a gimmick to just from point A to point B. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. It is a little bit more of the same, which is not bad because
Right.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since we're now like, 10, 15 minutes into our discussion about it, full spoilers, uh, some of my favorite surprises from the story.
Mm,
I would say number one, when they slowed down and they actually let you be Peter on basically a date with Mary Jane and Harry. I think that scene in the fair or Coney Island
yes.
is wonderful. It's just kind of like it
Yes. That
it
felt
bonds
great.
you. It
Mm-hmm.
bonds you with these characters. It makes you understand their relationship. I loved that.
Yep.
Um, Venom being Harry, but like I kind of saw that coming,
Yeah.
but being a version of Agent Venom um from the comics from the get-go and working alongside Spider-Man. Didn't see that coming. Was really pleasantly surprised about that. And
Yeah.
then probably the one thing that if again anyone is engaged in the online discourse is when Mary Jane herself receives a symbiote and becomes Scream for all of like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What a wonderful, interesting twist on that.
Yeah.
Because traditionally that's not the case, but they were like, hey, we're gonna put a symbiote on her. Why don't we just name her Scream? Just as a reference.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool. They
nice.
said go for it. So those are some of the big surprises that I thought were pretty fun. In addition to being able to play as Venom for just a short amount of time. Um, that was super fun. I thought there was going to be more of it. I
Yep,
think they're probably going to do that either in a DLC or in another side quel like they did with Miles Morales. I think that's what they're pointing towards there because they're just
nice.
there's not an like they built this whole system for you to be able to pilot him and they give it to you for just that one interaction.
Mhm.
I don't buy it. I think that is definitely DLC
I
or
think a
like
DLC
another
is probably
side quel.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like, I like the change that that it's Harry as Venom. I was not familiar with anything like Agent Venom. I don't even know what that is.
Mm,
But I did really enjoy the two of them working together. I was like, hell yeah, Harry, get in the mix. Let's do this.
yeah.
This is rad. And then you see the turn. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna have to kill my best friend, aren't I? Like to
Yeah.
survive this game. This is gonna be gnarly.
But
Um,
but what a great twist on it too, where it's
yeah.
not just like the symbiote making Peter evil. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's also essential to saving them, and that Harry gives it almost freely to Peter, but he has a hard time giving it back. And it's just
Yeah.
like you can see it's affecting his ability to, stand up straight like that. Wow, how interesting
Pretty
is that?
cool.
It's not just about power, but it like has an even more negative effect than just greed. Because I think that's maybe just too simple of a story to tell these
Yeah.
days, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah, story very good.
Story good.
Story good, story good. Um my least favorite missions right now, I will say, are the what's his name? Who's the guy with the big Mysterio? The Mysterio missions are the ones I probably like the least. Um I just think that character just in general, like in the plot of the game, I was like, oh, just dislike this guy a lot. So there, his missions are my least favorite right now. I'm finishing up all the symbiote missions, which are just absolutely gnarly hard.
Mm,
They're so hard. Um, but I like that even though they're technically side missions that you can just finish whenever you want to,
right.
once you start it, it doesn't let you go away from it, right? If
Hmm.
if if there's a hijacked truck or something and I go and I fail that mission for whatever reason, when I come to, there it's gone, right? I've
Right.
essentially lost it.
Hmm.
The symbiote missions are like, nope, keep trying, and I'm like, oh sweet God, how long am I gonna be doing this for? But it doesn't
Right.
feel like nothing in this game feels like a grind. Like you're just trying to grind
Right.
out to unlock suits or do that thing. Which brings me to my question is,
Hmm.
do you, what suits which ones are like your favorite Peter suit and your favorite Miles suit to play as?
So okay. So number one, I'm surprised that there's not a Peter B. Parker suit in
Right.
this game
Yes.
because this is like them together, both OG Spider-Man and Miles Spider-Man. And to have both versions of the Into and Across the Spider-Verse suits for Miles, but not have a Peter B. Parker, so that you
Yeah.
could like fight
Literally be there to even just on the menu screen, just having them next to each
just
other.
having them in the menu, but also like, you could be stopping crime in the middle of the city and run into each other. I'm like, how is this not a thing?
Yeah.
How how is it in the last game, but not in this game? You
Yeah,
have the
because the Peter B.
model.
Parker suit is in the first Spider-Man
It
game.
yeah, it came out eventually.
Now you've got the
I don't think
Both Miles suits.
I don't get it. I know they had
How?
to kind of rebuild like to get this game out, but yeah, that was definitely one of them.
Yeah,
Obviously the movie suits. I was playing a lot with the web suit, the Raimi version for
sure.
Peter. And I definitely was playing with both versions of the Into and Across the Spider-Verse for Miles. I legit hate the purple thing that they give him at the end of the game, Miles. That suit, like, I guess it's not purple, it's like a light blue, but it's the Adidas like branded one, and it
Hmm.
sucks. Like it's ugly. His hair's sticking out and nonsense. Like
I
it's
like the hair
terrible.
thing. I do like
It's
the hair thing
it's
though.
a terrible suit. But on the positive side, I would say that Peter seems to have a lot more good suits than Miles, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Mainly because, you've got both actually I should say this, the Insomniac White Spider, the advanced suit. They do a version from the first game and then an updated version. I loved both of those. I
Yes,
played the symbiote versions a lot because some points they force you to because you have to
correct.
have it.
Hmm.
The anti-venom suit is really good looking, if you ask me, the big white
Yeah.
suit. That one's great. And honestly, aside from the ones I've already mentioned, if I look back at it, I probably played with the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the huge eyes a lot for
Yeah.
Peter. What about you?
So that is certainly this. In the first game, I played with the Raimi suit because when you see that, it takes you back to a time, and you're just like, yes, this is amazing.
Right.
So I played with that the most in the first game. I definitely played most this time around, kind of a combination between the new advanced
Hmm.
PlayStation specific one,
Hmm.
that new version, because I just love the white lines in that one.
Hmm.
Um, or the freaking Andrew Garfield suit. Like those were just the
Interesting.
ones I played with the most. They just felt the most, I don't know, comfortable in that world.
Hmm.
Um, I certainly played around with some of those because they have like different colorways. So it's
Right.
like, hey, this time around, it's like, here's that suit, and here's three different colorways with it. So I
Right.
tried to keep, like, when I was picking their suits, I tried to keep Spider-Man like light, like
Hmm.
like even just white features in it, where I tried to keep Miles like a darker suit. So
Hmm.
I was playing with I was playing with Miles with the 2099 version of
Hmm.
his suit
Hmm. Hmm.
that has the little, just the hood.
Right.
They both have options where they have these ridiculous capes,
Capes.
and
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Spider-Man's not even supposed to have a cape, man.
Yeah, this one is cool because it doesn't have a cape. It looks like he's got that classic hood on like he always wore like in the movies, but still a
Hmm.
really, really nice looking suit.
Hmm.
And then had completely forgot. I don't know why. I completely forgot the Spider-Verse suits, but now they have the Across the Spider-Verse with the whole red down the side,
Bleeding from the
bleeding from the
armpits.
armpits.
Yeah.
And when they change the frame rate on that, it is just like one of those, just like the attention to detail when you're playing this game
Right.
and the frame rate matches the movie and not the video game. I'm just like, Jesus, this is cool. It does kind of wear on you a little bit. Like sometimes you're just like, okay,
Yeah.
I can't play it for too long that way because it's kind of
Same.
distracting. So then
Same.
I just switch back over to typically the 29. I like the Prowler suit,
Hmm.
or not the Prowler suit. It actually looks more like the Wakanda. Like it looks like you are uh
No, yeah, there's a Wakanda suit.
yeah, like you're dressed like T'Challa, and
Hmm.
there's a purple colorway, and that's the one I chose because I kind of like the blend of like Prowler colors with T'Challa suit. So I played with that one quite a bit at first. Like as soon as I unlocked that one, I was like, I love this. This is just freaking fire right here.
Supposedly, there's a Wakandan embassy somewhere in the city, and if you play as Miles wearing that suit, he'll like give the salute.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to do that. I haven't really
for
like just
sure.
walked around the city.
So have you uh finished the side missions for the Flame? Did you finish all of those?
The flame, remind me.
Yeah. The Flame is the one that Yuri is trying to stop.
Yes.
And like
Yeah, the
it at
cult.
yeah, the cults, and at the
Yes.
end there's a tease for another character.
Shoot. I
No?
don't know what the tease is. Spoil it. I'm
It,
sure I
it's
have.
it's for Carnage. For
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
for the other symbiote because a piece of I almost said Eddie's, it's not Eddie, of
Right.
Harry's symbiote is captured by the cult, and their leader turns out to be like somebody who's got a bunch of
Hmm.
aliases, and they're like one of them's like Cletus Cassidy. I'm like, "Oh,
There it is.
I get it." Right?
I like Yuri. I like her little,
Yeah.
you know, she's another crime stopper out there with her suit's pretty cool too. Kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like tragic, but like she's still trying to do the right thing.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, but I would say wrapping it up, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to them continuing, but I would like them to try to do something, to again, like the Arkham thing, make it bigger but noticeably different, where you've added something that you couldn't have done in the previous games. And I'm not really sure what that is, but I would say, yeah, I guess the symbiote stuff in this one is the most like new stuff
Plus,
that's different.
as Peter, like once you pass it, you have those powers,
Right.
which are kind of rad.
Hmm.
Especially like the super. When you get to engage the super, it's just like you're in full venom mode, which I
Right.
absolutely love, especially on those symbiote missions that just sometimes get overwhelming where I'm just like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm going Super Saiyan. Here we go. Um, so that skill set is certainly unique, and then the
Yeah.
web suit. But well, from what I understand, what they're saying is that the next one will focus mostly as a Miles centered Spider-Man going forward. Like
He's the
that, the
Spider-Man now,
he is the
yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm good with that because I love his powers too. I was doing a lot of electrocuting people.
Right. The it's insane what they can do.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So, with that wrapped up, like I think we wanted to just briefly touch on what we enjoyed most about 2023 from our own consumptions of media. And I believe you told me you have a list of everything that you had.
Well, this guy, I'll be quick about it. Spider-Man is kind of high watermark for me
Sure.
for the video game world.
Hmm.
Obviously, I bought many games this year and didn't really get a chance to play all of them. I have to go back to like Thor Ragnarok or
God of
God
War.
of War Ragnarok. I have to go
Yeah.
back to Jedi Survivor and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
this one is the high watermark. Um, yeah. So like real quick, TV good
Hmm.
shows that came out this year,
Hmm.
good movies, and I read one book. So,
Hmm.
uh, shows in 2003 that I would highly recommend, but these ones just happen to like be super awesome to me is Shrinking on Apple TV Plus was kind of one of those ones that I had waited a long time to to watch. That one is with well, Harrison Ford is in it.
Hmm.
Jason Segel's in it. It's about a bunch of therapists who are like need therapy themselves.
Mm.
It's a dramedy. It really balances comedy and drama really well. Brett Goldstein created that show and wrote for that. Brett Goldstein, for those of you who don't know, wrote for and played Roy Kent in Ted Lasso. So
Mm.
after this, he went over to Shrinking. I think Shrinking is set for another season.
Hmm.
That's very good. Um, Ghosts is a show that I know is not new to 2003 and 2023 and is actually just an American remake of a British show, but Ghosts is on Paramount Plus, and if you are in a void of shows that are just easy to digest, heartfelt comedies, because Abbott Elementary is not on the air, and if you're not watching Abbott Elementary, you should. It's one of the best shows on TV. Ghosts is a very interesting conceit where a couple inherits a house
Hmm.
um, that's full of ghosts,
Hmm.
and that's whatever in and of itself. But early on in the show, the woman who inherits the house, it's her family's house. She slips and falls down the stairs and briefly dies. And so when she
Oh.
wakes up, she can see them all, and all the ghosts are from all different times
Mm.
that even before the house was built, that land had Indians on it. So
Hmm.
there's a Native American ghost. There's a Viking ghost. There's like a turn of the century ghost. There's a like 1940s singer ghost. There's like a Wall Street bro like Jordan Belfort ghost. And she can see them and speak to them, which changes their whole lives or their
Mm.
whole afterlives, right?
Hmm.
Now they can speak to the living, but her husband cannot. So he's just like, cool. Are the ghosts in the house right now? They're like, yeah, they're talking about this. He's like, cool, guys, see you later. He's like cooking for them so they can smell the food because they can't touch the food. It
Wow.
is so charming. It's so funny. I highly recommend Ghosts. Jury Duty on Freevee, which is Amazon's free, so you got to watch it with ads. Jury Duty is part scripted show, part reality show. They took a whole bunch of people, threw them into Jury Duty, and every single person on this show, save for one guy, are
Hmm.
actors. So this guy thinks he is on jury duty and filming a documentary about jury duty. Little does he know, the judge, every single person on the jury, the plaintiff, the defendant, the lawyers, everyone in the courthouse that he shows up to every day are actors. He is the only one who has no idea.
They're straight up Truman showing this guy.
It's the Truman Show, dude. But it is I of the all the shows, that one is like the show that if it was a movie, it would have been the least budgeted show that made the most money this year.
Yeah.
Because people talked about that show like crazy. It will win Emmys for whatever they are nominated for.
Hmm.
So, so good, and really like a interesting like dissection of like this person who's put into these very odd scenarios. And you just see like how humanity, like, there's so much shit and so much bad out there, and then you
Hmm.
kind of look at this dude and you're just like, we're gonna be okay if there are people like this in this world.
Sure.
He
But they're
comes
running
out
the long con on him.
very long, like
This is a prank show taken to the extreme.
when they drop the bomb on him, it is incredible to watch this guy's reaction to this, and then just like very heartwarming, like just this
It
show
doesn't,
is
it's not
so interesting.
heartbreaking. It's
No,
heartwarming.
it's
Wow.
heartwarming. Yeah, it's absolutely, that's Jury Duty. I highly recommend that one. The big shows, we've talked about The Last of Us, incredible
Hmm.
show. That show finally got me to actually sit down and play the damn game, which
Hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, this is what you guys are all talking about. This is an amazing
Oh,
game."
I get it. I
I
get it.
understand. I know I'm ten years late to this, but
That's fine.
obviously don't need to say much more about Ahsoka, but my
You could
favorite
listen to all the other episodes we recorded
you can
for that.
literally watch all those. I would say though my favorite show of the year so far is on Netflix. It's called Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's one of the most beautiful things I watched this year. It happens to be animated. It is stunning. It is such a unique story. It's like Kill Bill meets, I don't even know. Like, it's so
There's
good.
nothing like it.
It really is so, it's just beautiful to look at. But
Hmm.
then the story in and of itself, like feudal Japan, um samurais and ronin and all this stuff, and this female protagonist who's it's Kill Bill meets Mulan.
There you go.
There it is. uh this show is absolutely phenomenal. My favorite show of the year, Blue-Eyed Samurai. As far as movies go, you know, Oppenheimer, on the top of the list. Obviously,
Hmm.
we reviewed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We reviewed Spider-Verse. Those are all in my top
Yeah.
5 for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I what?
But no Mission Impossible?
No, I think no. My top 5. I'll list my top 10 for you real quick. Oppenheimer,
Uh-huh.
Mutant Mayhem, number 2.
Uh-huh. Of course.
Uh, Past Lives is a movie that just snuck in at the last minute.
Uh-huh.
Um, that is just, that one is a little melancholy and heartbreaking and stuff, but the people in this movie are just phenomenal. It's just it's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Killers of the Flower Moon,
Hmm.
Godzilla minus one,
Hmm.
number 6, David Fincher's The Killer, Barbie, John Wick, and the movie Air kind of wrapped out my last my top 10. But the few that came in right here under the radar, David Fincher's The Killer, that is on Netflix. Michael Fassbender, incredible.
Hmm.
Past Lives, that's rental. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, but you can rent it for like $3 or something like that. I highly recommend that one. But boy, oh boy, did Godzilla minus one surprise me, right?
Hmm.
I only know Godzilla from like the American versions of Godzilla, right? Our 1998, Puff Daddy, Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller Godzilla, which also holds one of those weird spots like the Batman movie with Clooney and Kilmer do, because I get that they're mostly hated, but that's what
Mhm.
I grew up with, so I
Right.
love those movies.
Right.
That Godzilla movie, the Ferris Bueller's Day Off Godzilla movie, does still kind of hold a special place in my heart because it was the first Godzilla movie I had
Sure.
ever seen.
Sure.
Then we've got the new monster ones, the American
Mhm.
ones,
Yeah.
where Godzilla is portrayed as like he's helping in some way. He has relationship with humans and stuff like that.
Mhm.
This Godzilla in -1 is a dick, like just straight up. He's not here to make friends. He's pissed off and he's gonna wreck some stuff.
Right.
But it's very much like he's not the central character of this movie
Right.
at
As he
all.
shouldn't be. Right.
The human aspect of this movie is you could take Godzilla out of this shit, and this story is really interesting in and of itself, right? You've got this pilot in World War II, kamikaze pilot,
Mhm.
who is alive, which is like destroys his honor. So when he gets back to his unit, people are like, you're a kamikaze pilot. Why are you still here? Like
Mhm.
you're a coward, right? So like to
Mhm.
live with that decision that he didn't go through with that, and then has another opportunity when Godzilla's a wee baby looking dinosaur to kill him again, and he can't. He's
Mm.
just like not built for that. So it's this like huge story of redemption. Godzilla just happens to be there wrecking stuff.
Mhm.
This movie was made for like $15 million.
Right.
The movie, like we talked about the creator, that boy, they got a lot out of a movie that cost them $60 million, but looks like a $200 million movie. Godzilla, no different.
Mhm.
Looks like a $200 million movie, and the director says $50 million is on the high end of our budget.
Mhm.
Um, what a story weaved into a Godzilla movie. Like this was the most surprising movie I saw this year that I was like, top 10, easy top 10 choice. Um,
You
yeah,
know,
though.
it's interesting. I heard that Godzilla -1, and I've not seen it, but it's actually kind of like a remake of the very first Godzilla movie. So if the
Oh, okay.
story is what interested you, it's kind of like harkening back to where Godzilla finds its roots. So
Maybe I
that's
should watch that one then, because if
or at
it's
least,
anything like this, boy, oh
yeah.
boy, what a thing this is.
Yeah, maybe it's the reason why he's lasted as long as he has. Because I'll be honest, I saw the trailer for the next Godzilla X Kong, and they're fighting this new ape looking thing.
Mhm.
The end shot of the two of them like running like this
Yeah.
together just seems wrong to me.
Yes. It's
Like,
I get what that's supposed to be the money shot.
yeah, and
It's
it
supposed to be just
is
like, there it is, and I'm like,
100%
"Oh,
not.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
no."
no. Oh no. Because
What?
like
What's wrong?
I really enjoyed Godzilla versus Kong and them being, against each other and their forces of nature. And yes, it leans into the MonsterVerse stuff, which, you know, like the human aspect of it isn't my favorite part.
Mhm.
And the whole like giving them these personalities,
Yeah.
it's starting to be like they're trying to make them into something that they shouldn't be or they aren't.
No. Yeah.
Um, where it kind of feels like, and I might regret saying this afterwards, but it kind of feels like they've branded them like Coke and Pepsi, and like the mascots for Coke and Pepsi are fighting each other, but then they're friends.
Right. No, I think that's a really apt
And it's just
description of
like,
that.
oh, guys, oh, oh,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't want them to be brand mascots, even though they are a brand. Like Kong and
Sure.
Godzilla are a brand, but it's like, ooh, you did too much there. You went a little bit too hard. You
It's
gotta
like,
take some of
is
that
this a
out.
buddy cop? This is like a buddy cop movie that we're about
Yeah.
to get right now. It's like, oh no, road trip movie. What are we doing? So
Mrs.
listen, if you're
Kong tells King Kong that she's got a baby on the way. Good Lord,
so
like a
if you're not
90s
into
buddy
that
cop.
stuff, I highly recommend watching Godzilla -1 because you're not gonna
Right.
see
Any
any
of
of that
that.
in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This
Which
is
is
also the first time I've seen like Godzilla's atomic breath
mm-hmm.
be truly terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
right? Atomic breath, at least in these movies that we've had, is just like it feels like a laser beam that's gonna do some damage if like a spaceship might or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's devastating, but it's just another thing that just shoots out of something and it wrecks what it this this dude
Mm-hmm.
Atomic Breath, right? Cool animation where the his spikes go up and turn blue and stuff. And when he
Mhm,
shoots it, the end where that thing ends, atomic bomb mushroom cloud,
mhm, mhm,
which I have never seen before. But this dude does it, blows something up like a bomb was dropped,
mhm.
like in the distance. And you're like, oh God, like that is terrifying actually, because when he's doing it, when he's revving up, it's not like, oh, he's just gonna blast some planes out of the sky. He's just gonna tear that building down. It's like, no, he's about to annihilate a city with
Yeah,
that one thing. So
yeah.
there's more at stake when to stop him from doing that. It was
Mhm.
like actually scary. This dude is scary in this movie. When he's
A
on screen, he's scary.
and that's what it was supposed to be, my understanding, it's
Mm.
kind of like the Japanese experience during World War II, so,
Oh, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, it certainly sounds like your media digest from 2023 was quite the buffet. You went to everything.
I mean, listen, that those were the top of the charts
Yeah.
in my pop culture world. I did read one book. I
Mhm.
read because I'm gearing up for the next season of House of the Dragon.
Mhm.
So I did read Fire and Blood.
Mm.
Oh boy. You're watching House of the Dragon?
So I started to watch it with one single episode, and I believe I told you that with the whole baby birthing scene and having a pregnant wife,
Oh,
I
yes.
was like
Oh
having a
god.
hard time getting
Yes.
through the
Mhm.
first episode. And you're like, oh,
Yes.
if that's a problem on episode one, you maybe want to wait until your boy is out and like happy and healthy, which he is now. So
Fair.
it
Fair. Fair.
it is
100%.
maybe about time for me to jump back in because I did enjoy the rest of the episode from what I did see. But yeah.
This show is, I feel like the goal of this show is to single-handedly restore faith in Game of Thrones, period.
Hmm.
House of the Dragon season 1, phenomenal. Yes,
Okay.
a couple of really tough birthing scenes, not just 1, 2, if I can remember correctly, but I will say this, as someone who has sisters who have birthed many children,
Sure.
both of them said this is without question the most accurate depiction of labor ever put to film. And they said, yeah, it's terrifying
Yeah.
and horrifying
Yeah.
and not always great.
Hmm.
So I think I remember calling them after this. I was like, how are you guys feeling about that? And they were just like, amazing. And I was like,
Mm.
amazing? Like you're not having like trauma from it or something? They're like, oh no, it's traumatic.
Yeah.
Um, but so when I got like the all clear from them that they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is it is what it is. And I'm like, great, I'm gonna keep watching this show then if you're
Yeah.
cool with it. Read the book. The book really the first season is really just the first half of the book.
Okay.
As I got to that part in the book, I'm like, okay, we're about to be in the book where we have not seen in House of Dragons. And oh shit. Like thing this first season is very good and just like holy smokes there's so much going on and there's so much at
Hmm.
stake. It's like season 1 of Game of Thrones versus like where just dragons. Like
Hmm.
there are things that are coming in this episode that one they will not be able to show, just
Hmm.
flat out they're not going to do
Hmm.
it. And then things that I cannot wait to see how they handle certain things because George R. R. Martin is brutal, dude. You can't put all his
Right.
stuff on TV. You just could not.
Right.
Um, and then stuff that I am so thrilled to like. I cannot wait to see this on screen.
That's
Um,
cool.
so yeah, started to rewatch it, then read the book, and now I'm just like, I'm in. I'm ready for season 2. Let's do this.
Let's do
Let's
this.
do it. Yeah, that
Well,
is my that is those are the things at the top of my 2023 charts for sure.
well, for me, it turns out that yeah, like having a baby and trying to adjust to everything limits the amount of free time that you have and the
Yeah.
amount of things. And I've felt myself becoming part of what they I think call normies, right? Where you only see like the biggest releases in theaters and the biggest,
Normies.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know, your average Joe. Because yeah, I saw some of the big ones, all the Marvel stuff. I even saw the DC stuff. But then in terms of what I watch at home and on Netflix or Disney Plus and whatnot, yeah, we covered the like Ahsoka or well, Andor wasn't necessarily last year per se,
Mhm.
but just catching up on all of those big releases as well.
Did
Across
you
the
get to see
Spider,
The Last of Us?
no, I did not
Oh,
actually,
okay.
because I think at the time it was coming out in March, and that was when Parker was literally like 2 months old, and that
Sure.
we're
Oh god,
peak
yeah. When do you have the time?
adjustment time. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But I will go back to that as well. But yeah, Across the Spider-Verse, I think when we recorded our first or second episode, I said I never loved a movie immediately, so fully that I did with
Mhm.
this one. And upon rewatches since purchasing it at home, it has not lost its luster
No,
at
it has not.
all. Like every decision just seems so smart and so entertaining, and there's such energy and life from it. It makes me sad that some people may have killed themselves in order to make that happen, and
Yeah,
that
that's
we
right.
may have to wait even longer than we thought to get the next one.
And
Because
if it means that people are treated fairly and paid correctly and not like
yeah,
freaking waterboarded for this animation, like then we'll wait. Like
yeah,
we'll let's wait.
absolutely I'll
Let's wait.
wait. And I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is somebody telling us that, hey, it's going to come out in May or whatever it was, and effectively like hardly anything is done on the movie.
Mhm.
Like how can you do, like that's the part that pisses me off,
Mhm.
right? You could have told me that it was December next year, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. They have time to do it. And then even delays upon that would have been fine. But to say that, like, oh, we're shooting for May and it's not even close to finish, like, bro,
Yeah, don't do that.
don't, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
On the TV side, I did end up catching up on Loki over the Christmas break,
Oh
and
yeah.
Loki season two. That one was pretty darn cool,
Pretty
and
great.
I think his name is pronounced Ki Hui Kwan. Short
Kihui
round.
Kwan,
Yeah.
dude, everything. I put him in everything.
Yeah.
He's so
He's
good.
one of those actors where now if he shows up in anything, I'm not going to be surprised. Barbie 2, he shows up, totally makes sense,
Yep.
right? So,
He's so perfectly cast in that show.
yeah.
Like so good.
Yeah,
I'm
and
so
brings
happy
this
for this
energy.
man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed that he had to take a break from acting for like a decade in order to make this
Longer
possible,
than that.
but like yeah, good on him. And
Hmm.
then yeah, finally in terms of like video games, I would be remiss to not mention the free DLC for God of War Ragnarok that came out just around Christmas. And what a Christmas present this was. I had finished the game and started my New Game Plus and hadn't been able to go back to the New Game Plus enough to make any significant progress. So when this was announced, I was like, oh, snap. I need to, right, get back on the horse. This DLC, it doesn't make sense that it's free. Honestly,
Really?
like
Wow.
how are you doing this much and just handing it out to anyone who owns the game? Like you could have made so much money off of this. Like, $5 a pop, $10 a pop, and you're just giving it away. Like
It's that good.
it's so good. So
I gotta really finish the game.
you do,
I
you
gotta go
do.
back to this one
So
first.
rough, very briefly, it has roguelike elements, which means you're intended to make several runs on the same like course, but every time you go through the course, you make a decision of which door you're going through, basically, right? So do you want to do this next, or do you want to do this next? And when you go through with modifiers, and it makes it harder or makes it easier, or how much time are you doing it in, and what's different about this attempt versus the next attempt, and they play all of that in. And the biggest thing, which I don't feel is terribly spoilery, because if you've seen the trailer for it, it kind of gives part of it away,
Hmm.
is throughout both of the Norse experiences for God of War, these last two games from 2018 and from 2022, 23, they make reference that Kratos is the same God of War from the original games that came out from 2005 onward. Um, but much older, much more weary, much more even mature, you could say.
Yeah.
But it's the same guy. And this DLC really brings those two eras of Kratos together in a way that I did not expect from playing through Ragnarok. Like the fact, like how much they acknowledge the past, how much
Oh,
that is
interesting.
central to the experience. As a player who's played through every single God of War game, I loved it so much. And I believe you told me you have not played through the older games, right?
No, I played through like
So
maybe half of the very first game at one point, but that was it.
So I would be interested to revisit this once you do finish it and do the free DLC
Okay.
because of how much it talks about the other experiences from the first three, and even like he had games on PlayStation Portal,
Yeah,
PSP,
that's
and
right.
it references stuff from that too. And I'm just like, they threw everything at this, and that's
Nice.
incredible. So it's so good, the main story itself, and then this free DLC, which like yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So those were on the top of my charts for
Nice.
2023.
Okay, so that's what I gotta get of all the unplayed games because of the Spider-Man game that was like,
Hmm.
okay, this is taking over my life now.
Yeah.
I'll have to jump back into God of War first.
Prioritize God of War, and then I will do a favor to you, and I'm going to get through Jedi Survivor because I haven't done that.
I
So
think I played like 2 hours of that. I think I played like maybe five of God of War, and then yeah, then Spider-Man came out. I was
God of
like,
War
see ya.
first. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. That'll be next. Well,
All right.
I have to finish Spider-Man first. I mean, I
Well,
guess I don't, right?
you do and you
I
don't,
guess I
just
don't
since.
because of the way that see now I have the freedom. I have the
Hmm.
freedom to not play it if I don't want to, or play it if I want to.
That's right. That's right. Gosh, yeah, like what?
Jeez, it's a lot. It's a heavy
It,
burden. Wow,
yep.
what a life. Anyways,
Where can they catch all of our previous episodes, Easy?
all episodes can be found pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts: Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/ at the Pop Chart Podcast.
And yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. And how about shields up?
Nice, there you go.
Shields up.
That'll
Shields up,
do.
everyone. That'll do. I'm not doing the babe thing.